Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here, and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today, guys, here we are to continue my AFL 2023 three-game match reviews. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the middle three games from round 18 of the 2023 AFL season, and those games are Gold Coast vs St Kilda, Carlton vs Port Adelaide, and Geelong vs Essendon. Alright, so back to Saturday afternoon, and it was Gold Coast taking on St Kilda at Heritage Bank Stadium. Gold Coast, of course, sacked Stewie Dew last week, and of course went into this game with not a whole heap of expectation. And well, St Kilda went into this game with a lot of expectation, and one side was going to come out victorious, the other not victorious, and disappointing performance here from St Kilda. Outscored, outplayed, and beaten in the end comfortably. Gold Coast 11-11, 77 to St Kilda 8-3, 51. Gold Coast win by 26 points. 8-3 for the game. That is definitely concerning in a team which just doesn't look like they can score anymore. They've been low scoring for the past couple of weeks, and for the finals race now, I do see them being one of the teams. There's many teams which can slip out, and if I had to name any team that could potentially slip out, it'd probably be St Kilda. Their run home isn't the easiest, and it's another really disappointing performance here. Gold Coast skipped away early. They dominated the whole first quarter. 2 goals to 2 in the second quarter, so quite a boring quarter in the second quarter. The Saints brought it back, but then the Suns kicked away. Third quarter, 4 goals to 3. So again, the Saints are just hanging in the game, but they're not, again, they're just not doing anything. They're there, but every time they look to get one, the Suns just responded with one of their own, and in the final quarter, 2 goals to 3. It's not going to be enough for the Saints to win the game, but in the end, the Suns did have the game pretty well summed up, and theirs pretty early on. Rory Atkins, 122, Fancy, 120 for Flanders, 118 for Power, 108 for Whitson Miller, 106 for Steele, 105 for Wanganeen Miller, 100 for Windhager, 4 goals for Lukosius, 3 for Sharman, 2 for Atkins. That was it, because it was a low-scoring contest. 33 disposals for Flanders, 32 for Atkins, who played some good games, 28 for Crouch from Wanganeen Miller, 27 for Windhager. Marks, 10 for Power, and Wilkie, 9 for Ainsworth. Tackles, 8 for Steele. We go to hit-outs now, 39 for Witts, 26 for Marshall, 10 for Casbolt, and that was it. Team stats, inside 50s, only +4 win for Gold Coast, but I think the Saints did draw back the inside 50 count after that first quarter, because, it was all Gold Coast, so it was all one-way traffic in that first quarter, but from there, I think the Saints managed to even it out a little bit and make it look half respectable, half decent. In terms of hit-outs, clearances, centre clearances, stoppage clearances, all those numbers were dominated comfortably by Gold Coast. Centre clearances +4, stoppage clearances +11. So again, they won contested footy. They won marks inside 50 by 5. They led for the whole game. They laid 14 more tackles, and really good effort here from Gold Coast, and their finals hopes are still alive. This was a game which they were going to obviously have to win, and very good effort from them indeed. 13 and done is the saying now. Port Adelaide, their 13-game winning streak, which they were hoping would be 14 after the game, is done at 13. The power goes out, power outage, and it is done at 13 wins. Very good effort, though, of course. Brilliant winning streak. 13 is not an easy feat to do, and they beat some really good quality opponents during that time, and unfortunately enough for them today, fell to another really quality opponent, which are now coming in Carlton. Carlton, they're coming surging, they're coming late, but they're coming hard, and I reckon a spot in the top 8 for them. They've probably been the best team, probably the best team out of all those 5 to 15. They've, in my opinion, been the best team, maybe aside from Geelong, in the past few weeks. They've had some easy wins and stuff, but they've looked really good. And 18-14, 122 to 10-12, 72. Carlton win by 50. And look, first quarter, even, could have gone any way. Carlton did have more scoring shots. In the second quarter, those 2 goals to 6. They just blew it out. And then again in the third quarter, it kind of stayed the same. It was 5 goals to 5. So again, not a lot there. In fact, it was an even quarter in that third quarter. Port Adelaide did have some opportunities to bring it back, and then in the last quarter, they extend it from about a 30-point margin outwards to 50 points exactly in the end. And A for Fancy, 156 for Houston, 111 for Rosie, 110 for Silvani, 108 for Newman, 100 for Cripps. Goals behinds, 4 goals for Silvani and Motlop, 3 for Kerno, Marshall, Rosie, and Cottrell. Disposals, 41 for Houston, out a big number. He was by far Port Adelaide's best player on the ground. 28 for Rosie, 27 for Drew, 26 for Doherty, 24 for Cripps and Akers. Marks, 11 for Kerno, 9 for Houston, 8 for Akers and Dersma. Tackles, 9 for Newman, 7 for Cripps, Wines and Drew. Hit out 33 for De Koning, 28 for Lysette, 10 for Silvani, 4 for Finlayson, 1 for Paddy Cripps. Team stats now. +3 inside for just to Port Adelaide, believe it or not. I mean, they still did go in there enough, but when they were going in there, they weren't the greatest of entries. And Carlton just was so much better and had better efficiency going inside 50. Port Adelaide did win centre clearances. Carlton did win stoppage clearances. So it was relatively even in that area. Same with contested and uncontested footy, quite even again. Marks inside 50, 14-11. It was more the ground ball stuff, especially when Mackay did go off due to that injury. 18% contested marks in favour of Carlton as well. They did lead for the whole game. They laid 2 more tackles. All I want to say, though, about Carlton at the moment, Port Adelaide's winning streak is done. They're still currently they're still currently second and have a couple of games clear of third place Brisbane due to their loss on Friday night. They play Collingwood next week at the Adelaide Oval, which is going to be a huge game. But what I do want to say about Carlton real quick is that, a couple of words, they're coming. They're going to come hard. Any team that plays them in this run home should be aware, should be wary, because this team is coming hard, and all of their games are very winnable. They might drop a couple, but even if they do drop a couple, they'll still make finals, I reckon. Their percentage is looking good, and this team's changed. Now to a Saturday night smashing at GMHBA between Geelong and Essendon. Geelong 18-14, 122 smash, Essendon 7-3-45. Geelong win by 77 in the end. They are definitely going to be making finals now, Geelong, especially after they defeat and smash a quality side at GMHBA. They've got tons of home games remaining there. They've only dropped 1 game for the year against the Giants. They definitely won't be dropping another one. The hardest team they'll probably be playing there is Port Adelaide, but I still feel like they'll be able to get the job done in that one as well. But look, huge stuff for Geelong. Another really nice win built off the back of another really good first quarter. They did the same to North a week or so ago. They smashed him in the first quarter. 7 goals to naught in this first term. And then they built the game off from there. And then, throughout the rest of the game, just built off a bit more steady margin throughout quarters 2, 3, and 4. They kicked 2 goals in the second term, 5 in the third, and then 4 more in the fourth. And Essendon did kind of show up after quarter time, but the game was already done at quarter time, really. 122 fancy for Atkins, 110 for Hawkins, 109 for Holmes, 104 for Myers. Goals behind, 5 goals for Hawkins, who was huge, 3 for Stengel, who had another good week, 2 for Close and Blitzarves. Cameron held quiet with the 1 goal, 3, but still did have his opportunities. 33 disposals for Holmes, 28 for Atkins, 26 for Myers, 25 for Heppel. Marks now 10 for Zerk Thatcher, 8 for Stewart. Holmes, Smith, Hawkins, Bowes. Tackles 12 for Atkins, 9 for Parry, 7 for O'Connor. Hitouts 28 for Stanley, 25 for Bryan, who did a pretty good job. He was impressive, Nick Bryan. Sam Draper, Andrew Phillips, some pretty big holes to, some pretty big shoes to fill, and I think he did a relatively good job. 10 for Wright, 8 for Blitzarves, 2 for Hawkins, 1 for Cameron and Stewart. Teams now, team stats, absolute smashing of inside 50, 64-28. It's very rare to see a good side like Essendon go inside 50 28 times. The Cats just goes to show how good they are and how much of a better team they actually are at GMHBA as well. Clearance is relatively even, though surprise, the Bombers won centre clearance, but then contested and uncontested footy, the Cats won. They won marks comfortably. Marks inside 50 18-5, contested marks 15-4. But look, they led for the whole game. Geelong, they laid a few more tackles, but mammoth performance, a huge performance, just to show and let everybody know how damn good they are. And come finals time, especially if they get a home final at GMHBA against a team like St Kilda, Essendon, Western Bulldogs, GWS, Adelaide, Gold Coast, any team that could really finish in that bottom half of the top 8, like in 7th or 8th, especially if the Cats get a home final at GMHBA, I would be saying, watch out, because this team is huge. And I mean, even if it was at the MCG, they're going to be a threat comes final time. I just have that feeling. Alright, so of course we've covered those 3 games. Now we go back to start of the round. Sydney defeated the Western Bulldogs by 2. Melbourne defeated Brisbane by 1. And then Collingwood got over Freo pretty comfortably by 46. Then, of course, these games, Gold Coast defeated St Kilda by 26. Carlton smashed Port Adelaide by 50. Geelong smashed Essendon by 77. And then, unfortunately enough, for me, the Crows couldn't quite get the job done over the Giants. Good effort, though, very good performance from the Giants. And there'll be more of that in tomorrow's 3-game match reviews, as well as these 2 games. It's not the most interesting end to round 18, but it's not an important end to round 18. As I did say in yesterday's 3-game match reviews, these games more the interesting rather than the important, probably meaning top 8 could be on the line, which of course it is for Richmond in West Coast Richmond. But the first game today is North Melbourne versus Hawthorn. Probably won't be the most, it won't be an important game, but it will be more the interesting 17th versus 16th. And then West Coast and Richmond will finish off the round at Optus Stadium, which of course for Richmond is huge. And West Coast, they've been looking better in Perth over the past, like against St Kilda, they looked really good. Now they return home and have an opportunity to try and maybe get a couple more scalps before the year is done. Ladder time, we go to the ladder now. And of course with Richmond the only team that can still make a move. Now, depending on percentage, which is now going to be playing a huge factor, they need to get some today, I reckon. I feel like they've got to get some percentage. If they win, they can go to, we'll probably say 11th. I don't think they'll get enough percentage to overtake Carlton. So I think if they win, they go to 11th. A loss would be denting for their year. And then, we'll go to the top of the ladder. So Collingwood now get a little bit. They get a game clear on top. They win next week against Port Adelaide, which we'll go and have a look at next week's fixture in just a moment. But if they get a win next week, that'll be huge. And Brisbane, they've got an opportunity to close the gap next week. Should Port Adelaide lose, because there will be a loser of Port Adelaide and Collingwood. And it's still a huge game despite Port Adelaide's loss. Melbourne, they're coming back a little bit closer to Brisbane. They need to keep on winning. They're a little bit clear of Geelong. St Kilda are in 6th with not great percentage, but will stay there. The Dogs in 7th. On 36, the Bombers on 8th in 36, the Giants in 9th on 36, but the reason why they're in 9th is they've got a poor percentage, they need to try and boost that up. Later on in the year, Carlton, good percentage in 10th, and then Adelaide let a really good opportunity slip. They're in 11th now with a very tough run home. And then Gold Coast in 12th, another tough run home, and then Sydney, Richmond, Freo, Hawthorn, Melbourne, North Melbourne, and West Coast. So now we go to round 19. What have we got in store next week? Well, we've got some of the biggest games in the year in store next round for us for sure, and it starts off on the Friday night. Now, I did first have my questions when I saw the fixture, and I had my questions about this one on the Friday night, but really good choice here from the AFL. Two sides which need to bounce back. Who would have thought they'd be needing to bounce back at this time? Two sides which need to win. Two sides which sometimes throughout the year haven't taken their opportunities. Huge game. That's all I need to say. Richmond and Hawthorn, first game Saturday. Part of Richmond's easier run home. Carlton and West Coast at Marvel. Brisbane and Geelong at the Gabba. That will be still huge as well. Port Adelaide and Collingwood, that is probably the biggest game of the round. I mean, we've got some big ones, but second versus first. Freo and Sydney is probably the elimination final in the West. I think the loser probably, especially if it's Freo, can't make finals. Giants and Gold Coast at Manuka Oval. Again, the Giants, this is more huge for them, but Gold Coast would still like to win. The Giants don't have a great record at Manuka, so this is Gold Coast, real good opportunity to try and get a win, break the Giants' run of things. I think it's 6 in a row now, or 5 in a row, something good like that. Melbourne and Adelaide at the MCG. This clash looked better a couple of weeks ago. This one probably will be quite a boring one. And then St Kilda and North to finish off the round at Marvel Stadium. That's what we've got in store for us next week. Next round is going to be a belter. All right. Well, now as things start getting interesting, these three games are absolutely critical to the finals race. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you guys next time on the channel. Thank you guys so much. It's Brian, Flame Footy out.